Why, hello there, beautiful internet, and you amazing creatures of the beyond. Welcome, welcome. Before you say anything, yes, I know. I love cheesy 90s GIF animated backgrounds. Well, if it's a crime, I'm happy to embrace it. So, nightmares. Actually, I initially didn't want to make this video because I thought it was a bit too far-fetched. But thinking about it, it has very deep ramifications on our lives. And nightmares could also be a curse and a blessing in disguise. And I recently had a nightmare last night, one that was very unique to me. And it wasn't a scary type of nightmare where you're being chased, although I did have plenty of those in my lifetime. I've even had a very gruesome one when I dreamt that I was being eaten alive by wolves, and that is truly horrifying to see yourself being devoured in real time. But all nightmares are just your subconscious trying to tell you something. That something isn't necessarily right in your life and that you need to address it. Or maybe it is a repressed memory, or it can have many factors. And I'm just talking generally here. I'm not saying specific things related to mental health or anything like that, because those are a different type of category. But interestingly enough, the nightmare that I had last night revolved around the idea that I fell asleep inside my dream. So I was in a setting with some friends, and I think there was a girl there. I'm not sure. Anyway, the point is that in my dream, I felt very, very sleepy. And I was in a shoe shop or a mall or something like that. And I fell asleep on a couch. And then I woke up startled, still in my dream, and people were all around me and they were all sad. And I wasn't in the same setting anymore. I was on a bed inside my house, and I felt like I was at the funeral, and I was the one that was being cried over. And then when I woke up, everybody was surprised because they thought that I could not come back. And for me, it was just like 1 second. I closed my eyes and then I opened them. And I did feel like I fell asleep, but they told me that I slept more than 2 days or something like that. I don't remember exactly the specifics, but it was quite a remarkable thing for me. So I was basically in a coma in my dream. And that made me realize, wow, can you imagine? Because that felt like a deep shock to me how it is to really feel in a coma and basically close your eyes. Well, I'm presuming here, I don't know exactly how it is to be in a coma, obviously. But the thought itself to close your eyes, open it, and somebody tells you 10 years have passed. And it's like you time traveled. You're not even in the same world that you were 10 years ago. And you can't even get to the terms that you are in a different time with, and people have changed around you. Only you stayed in a time capsule. Well, your body aged, but you wake up and it's that drastic shock that, wow, how did I l- dropped the control over life? And that is what is important, because when we realize that life is so fragile and so huh, priceless, it's amazing how much nightmares can remind us how it is to really be alive and to really appreciate us having this life and the people we have around us, because it can be taken away from you in just a blink of an eye. And that is truly terrifying. But as I said, nightmares have many connotations. And usually, when your brain tells you, hey, look, something is not all right, and you don't know that consciously, maybe it's something related to a trauma or a bad event, and it's really deep, deep, deep dug inside. And those things from time to time surface. And they affect your life in ways that you're not very conscious, through your moods, through your lifestyle, through your feelings, and so on. And it's like sort of a wild card that jumps into your deck, and you become so confused why you're acting in a certain way. And the brain is smart enough to give you these signals, hey, let's focus on this or on that. But you have to really listen and observe what's happening with yourself and how you're going through these phases and how you can acknowledge them and accept them, most of all, because you might discover there is a problem, but you might be so frightened of it, or so naive as to try to run from it. But you cannot outrun yourself. You cannot outrun what you really are. And the problems are not something that follow you, they're defined by your existence. And well, let's not call them problems, let's call them challenges, because once you say it's a problem, it's something that you're frightened and you try to put a paravan between you and it. But when you're saying it's a challenge, you want to overcome it, and then you look at it as a set of features that are not arranged correctly in your life. So you have to identify the problem and then slowly try to go backwards to the root of the problem and understand what caused it, how it got to be there, how you absorb it, how you acknowledge it, how it affects your life, and so on. So it's a very detailed investigative kind of work. So you're like a detective. And the deeper you go, the better you understand yourselves and the mechanisms that make your mind work in the way you are and the way you think and the way you perceive the world. So, nightmares are a very powerful tool in our arsenal of thoughts and brain mechanisms that help us assess our well being. And if you really think about it, we are like a machine, just we're made out of different materials and parts than all the other machines. But all machines in general have fail safes, uh, just so they don't break. And that's exactly what our brain does. It has its fail safe, so we don't break. But the machine itself cannot understand what the problem is. There needs to be a user to come and assess the situation and look at the error and understand the error. Because if it's a blinking light, well, it doesn't give you much details about the problem. It's just a blinking light to you. But if you have a label under the blinking light and says, hey, cog number whatever is not functioning properly, go replace it or do something to it. And the same is here. You have to look at the blinking light and then identify what the label under the blinking light is saying. So, for me, this fear of coma, time traveling, might be a reason why I look at life and I see it so fragile. And sometimes I extend my abilities to want to make this world a better place, but it's not in my control. And I can realize that my life can be taken at any second, in any place, not by somebody, it's just by a random event. Nature is weird. I don't know, maybe a brick will fall on my head while I'm walking on the street, and poof, there goes my life. Doesn't necessarily have to be instant, a lethal action, but even a coma is extremely scary. And I've heard stories that people in comas can even uh, be aware, and that's like being trapped inside your own body, and that's 10 times scarier. Anyway, but these fears are instinctual, and um, our biology has adapted and has created these triggers in us for a reason. It's our evolution, basically. So in the past, maybe uh, nightmares made us more alert and more akin to certain things, because the brain, when we're sleeping, it's kind of training itself. So it's always trying to prepare in advance for various situations, even if they're simulated. Because, like, for example, you have those dreams where you're feeling like you're falling, and then you wake up in your bed and it's like, you still have that feeling. That's the brain just making its safeguard routines, and also trying to alert you if there's something wrong, uh, in terms of your mental well-being. Because, like, deep fears and insecurities and dread and so on can push you to go over the boundaries of your mental health, and it's very easy to fall into insanity if you let things unchecked for a very long time. But having a nightmare here and there from time to time, it's all right. It's the brain reacting to you and telling you, hey, you're alive, appreciate life. Okay, guys, stay awesome. I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye 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 bye.